As federal government hands over presidential lodge marina to Lagos state government in fulfillment of promise of President Muhammadu Buhari. On the international scene, 4 in 10 Americans now support the impeachment of President Donald Trump, representing a 10-point jump in the last 6 months. And on sports news, FIFA nominates former Super Falcons coach Florence Omagbemi for Best Women Coach 2017. Details in a moment. Well, many thanks for staying with us. I am Justin Akadanye. Will commence from Abuja. Now, the federal government has vowed to treat anybody caught in spreading hate speeches in the country as a terrorist. Acting President Professor Yemi Osinbajo handed down the threat at the opening of the National Economic Council retreat on national security held in Abuja Thursday. Osinbajo said government is tired of series of hate speeches going on around the country and is ready to make its promoters face the law. The acting president called for an effective solution by matching the changing security challenges with evolving technological innovation available.
Ambitious, and it must be urgent. Very importantly, it must be innovative. I think it was Albert Einstein who said, and I quote, "We cannot solve our problems at the same level of thinking that created the problems in the first place."
He also wants the police to be active through its community policing committee.
About how technology and the internet have altered the nature of conflict and war in contemporary times, enabling and amplifying the efforts and impact of terrorists and insurgents, warmongers, secessionists, and peddlers of hate speech.
The Chief Justice of Nigeria, Walter Onnoghen, and the chairman of the Nigerian Governors Forum, Abdulaziz Yari, called for synergy among all the tiers of government.
To ensuring that things are done differently and in improved manner, our commitment to having a better Nigerian society, where peace and justice.
Militants in the South who have made a very serious progress deserve a commendation. So therefore, Mr. Acting President, we congratulate you for getting headway on these two parts of the nation.
Moving on in this bulletin, the Nigerian government says it has worked out a science and technology roadmap, which is part of measures to build a prosperous future without oil and the revenue accruable from it. This was the submission of the Minister of Science and Technology, Dr. Ogbonnaya Onu, while addressing journalists at the World Press Conference held in Abuja Thursday. The minister noted that it was crucial that the country comes to terms with the far-reaching economic implications of this and as such have measures in place to keep the economy afloat.
Indeed, many countries in Europe and some other parts of the industrialized world are moving in a direction which suggests that in the near future, the demand for crude oil will reduce significantly.
Dr. Ogbonnaya Onu said, for instance, the Nigerian government taking the idea of modular refineries very seriously was a key testament to its commitment to encouraging homegrown technology.
New refinery that the private sector, somebody is building, I don't want to mention his name. Even if government wants to build today, you still need foreign expertise. That shouldn't be.
The minister therefore said the Buhari-led administration was determined to use science and technology as a centerpiece for realizing the National Economic Recovery and Growth Plan 2017 to 2020.
Technology and innovation is the new driver that will help diversify the nation's economy.
Moving away from Abuja, it's good news for Lagos State as the federal government has handed over the Presidential Lodge Marina to the state government in fulfillment of the promise of President Muhammadu Buhari to entrust the edifice to the state for tourism development. During the handover ceremony held at the main conference room of the lodge, the federal and Lagos state government signed a memorandum of understanding formally transferring ownership of the edifice to the state government. The secretary to the state government, Tunji Bello, who led the state officials, promised that the government would not compromise its structural integrity while preserving the architectural finesse and beauty. He said the administration of Governor Akinwumi Ambode would ensure the edifice becomes a tourist destination.
No, actually, just the contents, just like we said. We are transferring and handing over State House Marina to Lagos State Government in the spirit of togetherness. Nothing has changed. It's still within the same country. So nothing is lost.
Earlier, the Permanent Secretary, State House, Abuja, Jalal Arabi, who described the occasion as a solemn one because of the emotional attachment that most of the staff have towards the complex, said they are happy it was a smooth transition process.
First thing we must do is for us to appreciate what the federal government has done by handing over this edifice to the government of Lagos State.
The event featured a ceremonial handover of the keys to the building and the symbolic takeover by the state government officials led by the SSG. Moving on this, in the bulletin and talking water resources, the Minister of Water Resources, Suleiman Adamu, has reiterated the readiness of the federal government to improve on water supply across the country. The minister made the statement while addressing the gathering at the fourth day of the 24th edition of National Council on Water Resources at the International Event Center in Akure, the Ondo State capital. Delivering his keynote address, the minister said the state of water sector in Nigeria is quite worrisome, saying there is the need to change the situation.
This is a cause for concern. Why is it that both works in other clients and work in our own situation?
The National Council on Water Resources is expected to come up with technical solutions to the problems facing water sanitation and supply across the nation. Well, moving on now, talking education in this bulletin, the Minister of Education, Adamu, says that the federal government has taken steps to address most contentious issues in Academic Staff Union of Universities' demands and expressed optimism that the strike will be called off within a week. Speaking at a meeting with the State Senate Committee on Tertiary Education, the minister, in company of the Executive Secretary of the National Universities Commission, NUC, Professor Abubakar Rashid, said the issue of earned allowance for lecturers has not been addressed due to the lack of due process in employment of some university staff.
So what they are going to get is they are going to get the money they got last month, and then it will not be sufficient for them. They normally spread it among the entire staff. Let's say they pay 70–80%, but that is their fault.
The chairman of the Senate Committee on Tertiary Education, Senator Jibrin Barau, expressed confidence in the ability of the minister to successfully follow through the negotiation with ASU.
He must be doing all within his powers to make sure that this strike is brought to an end. From the presentation made by him, it shows exactly what I have alluded to right from the beginning.
Senator Jibrin said that Senate Committee on Tertiary Education will no longer take part in the negotiations as earlier promised, but urged the minister to finish it with developments in the negotiation process. You're still watching. Moving on and staying on the ASU strike. The Madibo Adamu University of Technology, Mautech Yola, has joined their counterpart in the ongoing nationwide strike. A branch chairman of ASU in Mautech, Dr. Sadiq Omar, made this known in an interview with Galaxy News shortly after the union's Congress meeting. Dr. Umar said the strike was to press home the union's demand as contained in 2009 and 2013 agreement signed by the federal government and the union, which the government is yet to implement.
And academic allowances. There are some peculiar academic allowances that is worth to academic staff. The federal government has not been paying, despite the fact that the federal government knows of it, but for long, federal government has not been paying.
Well, some students who spoke with Galaxy News said that the strike would affect the academic calendar.
This was stopping the exams, and we will not do the exam until when they resume back on the strike. You see, it is very painful and time wasted.
Actually, we do not know our status now. We don't know whether we are going to have it now or not.
Also depend on their own interests, not the student interest or the other staffs.
Actually, I was not happy with the strike because I was writing exams before the strike over. So I want to finish my exams and go back to my house. In fact, I'm not happy.
And away from the ASU strike, we'll move on next to the National Assembly as senators advocated the separation of Ministry of Culture from Information to reduce the overshadowed effect of culture potential of the country. The chairman and deputy chairman of the Senate Committee on Culture and Tourism, Senator Matthew Urogide and Senator Abubakar Mula, who were impressed by the turnout of tourism stakeholders at the public hearing, said that the potential in culture in Nigeria can help generate foreign earnings and employment.
I mentioned it very clearly that this committee were going to set out to make sure that we change the fortunes of the parastatals under this ministry.
Really remove this information and culture, separate them. Because once you have ministry information and culture together, always information, dwarf the culture and tourism. We have never had anything on information and people turn up. But anytime you have anything on tourism and culture, you can see the number of stakeholders, Nigerians that always.
Declaring the public hearing open, the Senate President, Bukola Saraki, says that it is important for Senate to lay fundamental legislations for the growth of the tourism sector. The Deputy Senate Leader, Bala Ibrahim Na'Allah, who represented the Senate President in a speech, assured tourism stakeholders of Senate's readiness to collaborate with private sector in ensuring development of the tourism sector.
We must push that culture and tourism is separated from information.
A member of the Senate Committee, Senator Babajide Omoworari, canvassed for separation of Ministry of Tourism from information. Away from the Senate, we'll move on next to the lower chamber. The chairman of the House Committee on Petroleum Resources in the downstream sector, Honorable Joseph Akinlaja, has lamented the continuous importation of petrol by the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, the NNPC. He made a statement during an oversight function to the Warri refinery, where he led members of his committee on a fact-finding mission. Fielding questions from newsmen, Honorable Akinlaja described the inability of Nigerian refineries to function as an unfortunate incident.
We will make law, but implementation of law is also important. How can we have 4 refineries of 445,000 barrel capacity and we are still importing fuel?
On the committee's assessment of storage facilities, the chairman expressed satisfaction over the maintenance.
Come here, to listen to the profile of the company and their ability to ensure quality and quantity storage of products, especially kerosene.
Well, moving on, and back here in Lagos, the need to entrench true federalism in Nigeria has once again been emphasized. The emphasis was made by discussants at a colloquium put together by the Island Club Lagos. Former Minister of Information and the National Secretary of the All Progressives Grand Alliance, APGA, said restructuring is the only way the nation can achieve its full potentials as an economic power in Africa.
Is in need of self-examination to make sure that we have a federal system that works, a federal system that enables the federating units to have such strength and capacity that they are able to generate internal resources that can meet their basic needs and then contribute to national development. I believe this was what led to the Constitutional Conference constituted by President Goodluck Jonathan.
Former Governor of Ondo State, Olusegun Mimiko, hinged the agitation and threat by some disgruntled Nigerians to break out from the country and the current political structure being run. Mako also charged the federal government to be proactive as the October 1 deadline for the Igbos to vacate the North draws close.
Back on advocacy to ask the young ones to desist from whatever they might be planning for October 1. It's very important to give them hope.
Away from Lagos, straight now to the Niger Delta region, as some oil-producing communities in Delta State have protested what they describe as the intervention of the presidential advisor on amnesty regarding pipeline surveillance to ex-militants. This is coming less than 2 weeks after the presidential advisor on amnesty, Brigadier General Paul Boro, spoke on the proposed engagement of 10,000 ex-militants to protect oil facilities. The protesters who marched through various streets in Warri with placards of different inscriptions arrived at the Nigerian Union of Journalists Press Center, where the acting national chairman spoke on the issue.
The high presence of the military in the region, which through the fact-finding of the acting presidents, has called for the scaling down of military operations in the Niger Delta region as demanded.
On his part, the Delta State chairman of the oil community said youths will take advantage of the presidential advisor's statement to engage in criminality.
Who are now, who are trying to, the federal government is trying to stop militancy by, allowing them, giving them time, integrating them to the community and to the society.
Meanwhile, the placards displayed by members of the oil communities from different local government areas of Delta State is expected to be replicated in the state capital of Asaba. You're watching Galaxy News. More stories when we come back from this quick break. Do join us again. Primaries for the All Progressives Congress for the forthcoming governorship election in a number of states slated for this Saturday has been postponed to Saturday, August the 26th. State chairman of the party, Barrister Emeka Ibe, disclosed this while addressing newsbed in Awka, the state capital. Ibe, who gave non-availability of a conducive venue for the primaries as the reason for the postponement, said the state government is set to give approval of the request to use the Alex Ekweme Square and Women Development Center simultaneously.
We are still begging them to give us that venue for 26th. So basically the reason why we postponed the primaries is because of they are not giving us, not releasing the venue for us.
He maintained that all modalities for the election has been put in place, hoping that the approval will come in early enough before the end of the new date. On speculations making the rounds on social media that the party's leadership plans to impose candidate on members, Emeka said it is untrue, assuring that the primaries will be transparent and credible.
12 people bought form, and all of them have been screened, and all of them passed the screening. Nobody was disqualified, nobody was screened out.
We're still talking party politics in a related development now. The Kwara State Independent Electoral Commission, Kwasek, has postponed the state local government election scheduled for November 4th to 18th this year. The chairman, Kwasek, Abdulrahman Adijagba, made this known while briefing journalists in Ilorin, the Kwara State capital. Adijagba said a new date was imperative as a result of the ongoing Hajj, with some residents of the state currently in Saudi Arabia performing their religious obligations.
You will also recall that on that same day, I did inform you that we are very, very ready. I told you about our resolve and preparedness to conduct fair, credible, and all-inclusive elections.
Away from all of that, we'll move on next now to Rivers State. Now, following the collapse of Aleto Bridge in Eleme local government area of Rivers State, the Federal Road Safety Corps, FRSC, says it has deployed its personnel to Eleme section of the east-west road to ensure free flow of traffic in the area. The Rivers State Sector Commander, Federal Road Safety Corps, Marshal E. Moore, who disclosed this in an interview with Galaxy News, explained that the command has moved swiftly by deploying its regular and special marshals to decongest traffic in the area. Imo Etuk blamed the traffic congestion and the deaths of few persons that occurred during the week along the Eleme-Akpaja route on reckless driving.
The problem is obvious that people, first of all, knowing that the road is bad, are not disciplined enough to obey the traffic ushers, as it were, the road safety personnel in the place.
The sector commander, Imo Etuk, said the use of phone while driving can endanger both drivers and pedestrians.
Use of phone while driving, driving against traffic, dangerous overloading, dangerous overtaking, route violation. These are offenses that we normally, if they are committed, would refer such people to a general psychologist to have their heads examined, as it were.
Now, moving on, the Oyo State Commissioner for Education, Science and Technology, Professor Adeniyi Olonifela, has condemned the abysmal performances of students of public schools in the state in the West African Examination Council in the last 5 years. Professor Olonifela said the average percentage of those who performed well in the examination ranges between 3.5 and 21.7% within the period under review. He revealed that the government has spent 1.8 billion naira on payment of West African Examination Council fees for final year students between 2012 and 2015 before it was stopped.
Because when you look at the trend, obviously there's marginal increase in percentage passed. But generally speaking, this is not what we want for Oyo State. Oyo State has been the what's called intellectual capital of Nigeria.
On the crisis reading, Ladoke Akintola University of Technology Teaching Hospital in Ogbomosho and the hospital in Osogbo, Professor Olonifela said the state government has spent enough funds, contrary to insinuations in some quarters.
Let me also state that today, between 2011 and 2017, the government of Oyo State has spent, has spent over 10 billion on Ladoke Akintola University.
And straight now to Edo State. An aged woman and 3 others have been arrested for the sale of prohibited donkey meat, also known as jackie meat, to unsuspecting victims. Edo State Bush's task force operatives arrested them at the popular Oka Market in Opa, Sakumba, Benin. Chairman of the task force, Paul Ahere, who condemned the act, described donkey meat as unsafe for human consumption, adding that the sale is most inhuman.
It was communicated before. The other one had an undertaking with the Ministry of Agriculture. He's not going to do such again. The Veterinary Department. But surprising today, they also put. And this to show that these women are not ready to repent and they believe in selling unfit meat to the general public. And I want the government to really look into this issue, because we, the butchers, all we do is to slaughter meat that is fit for the public with the assistance of the veterinary doctor.
Meanwhile, the suspect, Rose Osaruese, Edith Ibinovia, and 2 others who spoke to newsmen in Benin confessed to the crime, while the cattle dealer's chairman expressed reservation over the act.
Selling donkey. They are always cheating people. Many people in those states, they don't know they are eating donkey, because they are going to the market buy meat, they think it's cow meat. When they are killing donkey, so they just conjure with the cow meat.
Meanwhile, the acting director of Veterinary Services, Ministry of Agriculture in Edo State, Thomas Haruna, commended the operation of the task force for the arrest.
As far as the legislation is concerned on food animals in Nigeria, donkey meat is not enlisted among the food animals. So anything that is not enlisted, it's not in law, it's illegal. And so anything that is illegal, the state will not condone it.
You're still watching the news on Galaxy Television.